All right, so I'm going to open this up just a little bit, like maybe a 3.5 inches on the inside. So it'll end up being 4 to 4.25 on the outside, something like that. Let me check the thickness now. Okay, I think I'm close to having that foot where I want it. And if all goes well with this, I'm going to have a little bit of a faux foot on this piece where it looks like it's pedestaled, but it'll actually be hollow in there in part of the body of the pot. All right, here we go. Bringing the clay up. Y'all know my little two-handed move. Here we go. I'm going to pick my wheel speed up as I do it, and I'm kind of choking in and lifting the clay at the same time. I'm going to set up this pull, pick up my wheel speed, and up I go. Now, I'm not going to pull this real thin because this pot's going to be altered, and then I'm going to shave it with a Sureform tool. If you make it to one of my demonstration workshops, you're going to see me make this piece because people never know how I do it, and it's got a lot of steps to it, but every single step of it is fun, and it really opens your mind up to all the things that you can do with clay. And if you're a hand builder, I really want to encourage you to think about this. Sarah spent some time making a cylinder. Well, I could do that with a slab, and then I can stretch my cylinder the same way she stretches on the wheel. So remember, a lot of these techniques translate over to hand building. I'm a lover of hand building. Anyway, we make a lot of cool pots when we're hand building too. So you can do all the things. That's one of the things that Karen says all the time. We can do all the things. Why not? I quote Karen Dubois a lot because she's one of the very positive, upbeat, glorious, kind, generous lights in my life, and everybody needs people like her. And she's a unique one. I love you, Karen. Okay, up we go. She loves me too. Okay, I don't have my yardstick with me, or I'd tell you what the height is, but I'm getting some pretty good height out of this clay. But remember, I'm not going to pull it real thin. I just want to get the weight out of the bottom because I am going to change the shape. Look at how I'm pushing in now and making that foot even narrower, and then I'm bringing that clay up. So 7 pounds of clay. I think I had it about 3.5, yeah, it looks like 3.5 inches on the inside floor. We are 13 inches tall, and my width right now is 5.5. All right, let's see. Go in just a little further. Oh, it's starting to feel scary. That's when you know you're getting to where you're using all your clay. I'm going to leave this about 3/8 of an inch thick because when I alter it, I'm going to come back and shave it down. So I need extra clay to take away later. This is kind of a thrown, altered, sculpted, I remove clay, I add clay. I just pretty much do all the things to it. That's feeling pretty good. So you're going to see what is step 1 of this process. All right, so there's my faux foot right there. And now I'm going to start bringing this clay out just a little bit. This is not a piece that I make real wide. I just give it a little bit of a curve to it. Wow. All right, I already love this shape. This is a shape that you'll actually see in my work a lot. I'm going to go ahead and define that foot now. Do you see that? How I'm just kind of creating a definition of it. I'm going to come back and go up again. Here we go. One more pull. This is starting to feel like the right thickness. I'm going to stick a needle in and tell you exactly how thick it is, but I can tell that it's going to alter well. When I first started making these, after the first few times, I realized I needed to write down the process because I'd skipped something and then I couldn't get my hand back in to do what I needed to do. But now I hope I've done this enough times that I'm in good shape to where I'll remember. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all the throwing rings now. There we go. And you have to remove the throwing rings on the inside too. I know those of you that work with me or watch my live streams, you've heard me say it, because as it dries, if there's throwing rings on the inside, it'll show back up on the outside as it shrinks. It's very annoying, unless you want it. Okay, so now I've got the rib on the wall on the inside, and I might as well stretch it a little bit down there while I'm in. Why not? And so I'm pushing that rib out and slowly bringing it up. I'm making sure I do full revolutions before I move up, or I could actually throw this thing off center, and I don't want to do that. I'm removing some of the wet slip. This is a nice soft clay. It's Laguna Miller 850. All right, I've got all the throwing rings out of the inside. Now I'm just going to evaluate this shape a little bit and make sure I don't have any flat edges. And you'll notice if you look at the form back here, it kind of goes wide and then it tapers back in. Well, when I start to close this form up, that taper back in is going to get smaller. So I've got to think about that now. How much space do I want at the top? And I think I'm going to let this one be a little smaller. Every little nuance that you change makes the form a little different, and that's fun. And when you make a whole lot of forms, you get better and better at knowing what's going to happen when you do something. It's one of the wonderful reasons to repeat a form over and over again, because something will happen and you'll go, well, I didn't mean for that to happen, but I like it better. And that's how pots evolve. Very often. Okay, so I'm gonna undercut right here a little bit. See how we're starting to see that there's a little lift to a foot right here? I can even take a metal rib and come right here and draw attention to it. See it right there? And now it really looks like a foot, but in the inside, there is definitely volume down inside it. Bring it up just a little. I'm gonna leave that little bit of texture to it just because I like it. It's nice. I think I'm gonna alter it and then I'm gonna close it up. So I'm going to give it 4 alterations, and because this wonderful Medex bats that I just bought from Clay King, because we lost them all in the flood, I am going to use the holes right there for my markers, and I'm going to alter above the foot. You might be able to see me pushing out right there, and I'm going to bring my finger up. I don't remember how far I want to go. Bring my finger, I don't remember. That looks good. We're gonna see what it does. All right, and the other side. And up I go. And stop. That's already cool, isn't it? Now, when you decide to alter your pots, if you're still using a whole lot of water, let it sit and firm up just a little bit, because it will kind of flop and your finger marks will look big and bumpy and you'll be disappointed. So I haven't used much water, so I can just do it right now. But if you're still using a lot, and I recommend that you start to try to use less water, then altering can go really well. Okay, so you can see I didn't alter here and I started above. I'm going to go ahead, even though it's not necessary, and bring this back on center right here. And all I do, notice that my arms are braced against my body and my fingers are not moving. And that gives the clay no choice but to reestablish center. So you can alter a pot and reestablish center fairly easily. Now I've got to decide front and back. And I think, looking in there to see how symmetrical I did a pretty good job. I think I'll do it right here. So let's zip it up. You want to? This is going to be the last step that you're going to see. All right, so I'm just going to grab right here and bring it together. Now, if your clay is real wet, you'll want to wait. And I'm going to bring it all the way together on one side. Keep bringing it in, and you're thinking, oh no, she forgot to score it. No, I didn't. The clay is the same moisture content, and clay likes clay, so I don't need to score it. It's just going to really like each other. I'm going to compress it like that. And I'm going to bring it in even closer. And now I'm going to start coming in down even lower and lower and lower and lower until I like what I'm seeing. So you can see we threw the piece, and now I'm starting to sculpt it. Go even lower. Look how you can just change the shape by just pushing your clay around. So if you like sculpting, if you like changing the shapes of pots, just make sure your moisture content is right. That is so important. Now I'm going to look for a knife. There we go. And I'm going to cut some of this away. Well, let me turn it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to come down in here. And sometimes when I cut it away, it actually opens back up. But I don't worry about that. So see how I took some out and it's starting to have a swoop to it? This is one of my signature pieces. I'll tell you what, it didn't start like this. It slowly evolved into this piece. Slowly evolved. Now look, I've opened it up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to bring it back together and go down even lower. And go down even lower. As much as you want. And I'm going to turn this back because putting the handle on is really fun. We won't be doing that today, but if you can make it to one of my workshops, you'll see that technique. It is wild. I'm going to bring it back together again, and I'm starting to like this curve that's swooping way down and back. All right? One more thing. No, two more things. I'm going to take this and begin to pull a spout. So my fingers are just slightly damp. And I'm bringing this clay upward. See how it was a narrow form, but with these alterations, it got wider. And when I do a little more altering, it's going to get looking narrower again. It's so fascinating working with clay. So I'm just going from one side to the other, and I'm slowly stretching it. Notice that I'm not picking up any more water. If you keep picking up water, you're just sliding across the clay. So don't keep picking it up. Just trust that you can stretch the clay up and feel that thickness. Sometimes you're going to tear them off. Sometimes I tear them off. It's annoying. But if you do, you can figure out ways to fix it, or you get to make another one. This is how you develop your skills, and it's way fun. All right, here we go. I'm bringing it up. I'm going to bring it up a little more. Look how much that's stretched. Isn't that wonderful? I can come in here and stretch that way with my finger. We can do whatever we want. I'm going to bring it up even more. Why not? It's stretching so beautifully. I love this clay. Oh my gosh, I love this clay. Miller 850, cone 10. Gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to take that off. Bring that together a little closer there. It's starting to have some lift to it, isn't it? I'm going to come right in here and fix that line right there just a little bit. Now I'm going to come across the top. You can tell it needs a little stretch. If you'll turn the spout away from yourself and look at it, that's when you start to really see where you need to lift it just a little bit more. There we go. And also when you walk away, of course, that's always fun. And then you go back and go and start fussing with it. Do y'all do that? I sure do. Okay, so I've got a spout. It's looking pretty good. One more step, and that's all we're gonna do today. And it's pretty wild, so I hope it goes well. And I'm gonna come just to the inside of where I pushed out, and with my fingers, I'm going to move up and begin to push it inward. And I'll turn it and show this to you, but this is going to start to create some planes on this form. See that? And it even pushed it back a little bit, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to come back here and do the same thing and bring it up just to the inside of where I pushed out. Sometimes I don't do this part and I leave it really bulbous, but sometimes I do. Now I'm going to push it in just a little. Grab a sponge. Clean that line. Clean that line. This is just a damp sponge, not a lot of water in it. Clean that line. Clean that line. And now I'm going to come right up and into my spout and create dimension all the way up. There's a whole lot that's still going to happen. I'm going to dart it. I'm going to add clay. I'm going to shave it. I'm going to put a handle on it. And it is going to be exciting. So there is step one. This pot actually requires quite a few skills, but I encourage you, try it. Right. Imitation is a great teacher. And then what ultimately happens is that you make something your own and you start altering and changing the shapes of things, and you just never know what's going to come out of you and your creative gift, right? Oh my gosh, so true. All right, there it is.